So it is done, people. The third round of AFC qualifiers is a wrap. We saw managers hired. We saw managers sacked. We saw teams qualify and make their first ever World Cup. We're going to review the final two match days. It's going to be a very quick review because not a lot of action happened. Then we're going to react to the 6 teams that have already qualified from the AFC region. And then in the later part of the video, we're going to preview the 4th round of AFC World Cup Qualifiers. Group A, not a lot of action happened because the UAE and Uzbekistan, they just basically went toe-to-toe to see who would qualify to the World Cup. And obviously, Uzbekistan only needed a point away in the UAE, and they got it. And Yusupov came up clutch in the last couple of minutes with some unbelievable saves, and it was enough for Uzbekistan. You can clearly tell that the team's mentality going to Abu Dhabi was, let's just get a point and let's just qualify. Because then when they played Qatar at home, oh, it was a party. You saw Shmordov scoring a ridiculous goal. That touch he had was insane, and they completely dominated Qatar. So I think for Uzbekistan, it was a very good window, and it's the most historical window they will ever have in their history. For the UAE, with now Kozmin as manager, I thought they played pretty decently against Uzbekistan. Away to Kyrgyzstan, you could see that they rotated the team a lot because nobody wanted to get yellow card accumulation heading into the 4th round. So Kozmin played it safe, and I think he played it the right way, understanding, okay, we played some decent football against Uzbekistan. Maybe they could have gotten a little bit more lucky in some situations. I mean, Suhail is the gem of UAE football at the moment. I think he needs to be a huge piece for Kozmin heading into that 4th round. Look, the UAE got some players, but it's just such a weird scenario where I don't know if they're going to be really good or if they're going to be average heading into the 4th round. I think they did pretty well in this group considering they had 3 losses. The only game where I thought, oh my God, the UAE looked putrid was at home against Iran. Yeah, it was 1-0 or 2-0 in that game. It should have been 4 or 5-0. So the UAE did well in this window, heavily rotated away in Kyrgyzstan. That's good enough for me. Qatar, again, I don't know what to make of them because they beat Iran at home. Yes, it was a decent performance. Then they go away to Uzbekistan with a heavily rotated team because Lopetegui also understood, let's not get yellow cards. We already secured our spot into the 4th round. But Qatar looked worse. I mean, no goalkeeper. They can have any goalkeeper out there. They're going to make a mistake. Defensively, there's no organization. Yeah, they did pretty decent, I thought, against Iran. But I have no confidence that Qatar are going to qualify to the World Cup. That's the crazy part about all these teams that have qualified to the 4th round. So for Qatar, yeah, decent window. I mean, you're going away to Uzbekistan with the B team, basically. You're going to get destroyed because Uzbekistan took the game serious and they wanted to give a party to their home fans. Kyrgyzstan, I mean, I think Kyrgyzstan were one of the biggest surprises in this 3rd round. I thought they were going to finish maybe bottom, same points as North Korea with 3 to 4. To get 8 points and to be very competitive at home, and they finally got a point away from home against North Korea, even though it was a neutral venue. I think this was a hugely successful moment for Kyrgyz football, and they can now use this as a huge stepping stone in their history as a footballing nation. Look at Tajikistan. Tajikistan have regressed. Now can Kyrgyzstan leapfrog Tajikistan and perform at the next Asian Cup? Because look how far Tajikistan made it at the last Asian Cup. It was sensational scenes to see. Let's see if Kyrgyzstan can use that as well. North Korea, I mean, these guys are hilarious. They're probably the most entertaining bad team in the world because you don't know what you're going to get. They're going to be a calamity, they're going to make mistakes, and they're going to shoot themselves in the foot. That happens every single North Korea game. They look good for parts, and then they fall off a cliff. Highly entertaining team, but they are probably the worst team in the 3rd round of Asian qualifiers, but also one of the most entertaining. That's the hilarious part about it. But Iran, I'm not going to take too much away from this window. Look, they qualified. It's the mentality. Osmo didn't even get selected. Yeah, I think he had an injury, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not going to go critical about, everybody's talking about Galanoy out, Galanoy out. Okay, I get it. But who are you going to hire? Are we going to go again with Carlos Queiroz? Or can you go with somebody else? Can you get an Ange Postecoglou? I mean, that would be sensational for Iran if they could get Postecoglou. But if you don't have a suitable replacement for Galanoy, you're going to have to stick with him. And you're going to have to hope that he can fix this defense. The Iran attack, I think, can score against a lot of teams around this world. The defense, though, I can't remember which sub it was for Iran that got subbed on against North Korea. That miss was worse than anything I've seen from Darwin Núñez. Oh my, he had the entire net open and skied it. So yeah, this group kind of played out how I expected to be when we started all the way back last year. Was that Iran and Uzbekistan were going to qualify, UAE and Qatar were going to go to the fourth round, and Kyrgyzstan and North Korea would finish at the bottom. Decent group in parts. It's been in parts that Qatar have been a calamity defensively, Iran looking sensational going forward, and Uzbekistan being the most solid team, I think, in these qualifiers. But good group. Could have been a little bit better, I think, for drama-wise. Group B then. So, South Korea. They had a very good window, getting 2 wins. They kept an unbeaten record in Group B. And I know there's been a lot of criticism for Hong Myung-bo, but I think they did pretty well in this window. Yes, did they get lucky or did they get fortunate that Iraq got that crazy red card in the game? Yes, but still, you're going away to Basra, a very formidable fortress for Iraq. To get a victory? I think that's pretty good. Then they go at home, where they've struggled recently to even get a victory, even against Oman, Jordan, Palestine. South Korea went 4-0 against a Kuwaiti side that maybe were a little bit disheartened. They had nothing to play for. Still, for South Korea to put up a performance like that, I think that can bring confidence. I will reiterate this every single time I'll talk about this when it comes to Asian football. Hwang In-beom is a sensational midfielder. The way he just controls games, his passing is elite. I think he's the most important player right now for South Korea. Without him in that midfield, the sort of creativity, the control aspect of the game, it completely goes away. Obviously, Lee Kang-in to Heung-min Son to Kim Min-jae, they're going to get the headlights basically because they're the big names playing for big clubs in Europe. But Hwang In-beom, I mean, this guy is a great player. And shout out to Ho Yoon-go. Obviously, he took the striker role for this window, got 2 goals, and that was his first start in these qualifiers. I mean, he had a good stretch. I think it was back in October we got those 2 goals off the bench. Didn't get a lot of minutes since then. For him to get 2 goals in this window, start against Kuwait, I think his link-up play isn't the greatest, but I think South Korea need that sort of presence in the box. His off-the-ball movement is really good inside the box. They need that vocal point. Now that South Korea, they can build around him. You got Lee Kang-in, you got Hwang In-beom, you got Heung-min Son. So Hwang In-cheon, I mean, he can just be a super sub. And that probably will be a good role for him. I think it's a very successful window for South Korea. They can stop with the negativity, and hopefully this can be a good turnaround for them heading into the rest of the preparation for the World Cup heading into next year. Jordan, I already talked about them in a separate video qualifying to the World Cup. They obviously lost to Iraq at home, but I'm not going to take any takeaways from that. Look, they were partying. They were partying on the streets of Oman. It is a historic moment for Jordani football. I'm intrigued to see what sort of friendlies they conjure up heading into that World Cup, because now the preparation needs to be on point. You need to play against the big teams. Yes, they played against Norway back in 2023 and got shellacked. They have to play against that sort of caliber of opponents. You're going to have to play against a Paraguay, an Ecuador, you name it, maybe Morocco, these sort of teams to properly prepare yourselves for the biggest occasion possible for your footballing nation. And yeah, look, they did fantastic well against Oman. I already talked about that game in this separate video, so go check that out on the channel, people. Iraq, first window with Graham Arnold. Obviously, the game at home against South Korea, once they got that red card, it was done. There was nothing they could do. You could see Graham Arnold in the second half basically go very defensive. Then the game away to Jordan, I felt like he was doing well in the first half. Ayman Hussein had a couple really good chances in that first half. The second half, they allowed Jordan a little bit more possession. Jordan controlled the game a little bit more. Then they get the set piece goal, but hopefully now, and he obviously tried a lot of new players in that second half against Jordan. This is now a vital period for Graham Arnold. He said, we're going to qualify for the World Cup. He's experienced, and I think that's a good thing for Iraqi football, that they have a manager like Graham Arnold, who's been here before. But sometimes the food might not look the greatest, but it can taste the best. And this is exactly what's going to happen with Iraqi football. It might not look the prettiest, but you might qualify to the World Cup. And if I was an Iraqi, I'm going to the World Cup, hands down. But we'll talk about that when we get to the fourth round. Some positive signs in the Jordan game. They looked a little bit defensively solid, especially the first half. But the second half, man, Jordan were carving up some very good chances, especially Olwan. I don't know how he missed that wonderful cross from Al-Mardi. I don't know how that happened there. Palestine, oh man, I feel really bad because what a sensational run it's been in the last 4 games for Palestine. I mean, the appointment of Abu Jazar was a masterstroke from the federation. To do that, and the way they were playing the football, going away to Kuwait, that has always been a difficult ground in these qualifiers, get a 2-0 victory there. And they were so close to doing it, people, against Oman. I mean, again, it's like set piece wise, Palestine are set piece FC, people. The amount of set piece goals they're scoring at the moment, and especially with Adam Kaid with his deliveries, I mean, this guy is the James Ward-Prowse of Palestine football at the moment. They did so well. They controlled the game. Oman went down to 10 men. I just felt like the nerves got to them and they sat back a little bit too much to absorb the pressure. The penalty happened. It's a BS penalty. I think we can all agree on it. Maybe Omanis will disagree. Maybe there will be some smart Omanis and saying we definitely got away with one there. But wow, it's just such a heartbreaking moment because Palestine have done so well in the last couple of games. You know, beating Iraq, going to beat Kuwait, and they're close to beating Oman and qualifying to the fourth round, people. That would have been a historical moment. And I think if Palestine made it to that fourth round, they would have been a team that nobody wanted to play against. Nobody. But I think they can take some massive positive signs here. They are a young team. You look at Abu Ali, you look at Kaid, you look at Dabbag, you look at these sort of players. They're all under 28, 29 years old. Some are even under 25. I think for the 2030 World Cup, I think this is going to be a great opportunity for Palestine to go even further and possibly qualify for the World Cup. Maybe they will recruit new players, but overall, as a team, they look so sensational going forward. They need a little bit more from the midfield, even though Karoub, I think he did his best. Defensively, they were naive at times in these qualifiers, but you could see that they are such a entertaining team to watch, and it's just very disheartening that they went out in that way. But that's just the cruel life of football sometimes. You get screwed over, and it pains you for a very, very long time. But hopefully Palestine can take the positives. And the one thing I did like about it is that you saw the Palestine players, when the penalty was conceded, nobody went up to the referee and complained. Now, you might say, oh, Michael, they should do that. But they understood that, wow, we actually let it go like that. And the penalty was just such BS because I think he tripped over his own foot. And Oman converted the penalty. And Oman, they go to the fourth round. But I'm going to be honest, I'm not excited. And that's no disrespect to the Oman national team, but I just see their style of play. I just don't think it's going to adequate well to the fourth round where you have to be a little bit threatening going forward. Oman are not a threatening team going forward. They scored a grand total of 9 goals in this third round. 4 of those were at home against Kuwait in one game. If Oman want to be serious in that fourth round, they got to create some more opportunities. And I don't think they did that a lot against Palestine, anything against Jordan. So yeah, it could be that it's a great moment for Oman to make it to the fourth round, but I feel like it's going to be very difficult. And then the final team, Kuwait, they are out of these qualifiers. I think 5 draws, 5 losses. Yes, they suffered some heavy defeats in this process, but Kuwait at times were really outstanding. For me, they were going to be the worst team in the third round when it started. They're not worse than North Korea. I mean, heck, maybe Kuwait are even better than Bahrain at this moment in time. So I don't know if Pizzi is going to stick around, but let's see if they can do anything at the next Asian Cup. Then the final group, Japan and Australia advanced to the World Cup. Gotta give it to Popovic, man. I mean, Australia dealt with so many setbacks heading into this window. So many injuries, players pulling out from this window to still get 2 victories over, yeah, okay, you could say Japan B/C team. Still a victory. It was ugly, but you sometimes gotta win ugly. Then going away to Saudi Arabia in a must-win game for Saudi Arabia. Get the victory there. Duke, wonderful assist, wonderful goal. I still don't think he should be anywhere near the starting 11. But heck, as a super sub, go ahead, Duke. I mean, the goal he scored, that header was phenomenal from him. So Australia, I'll kind of talk about them when we talk about the qualified teams to the World Cup. Very good window. I still think they could really improve. But when you think about it, with the depleted squad, it's actually been a very positive window. I mean, the style of play is not great to watch, but it gets results. Sometimes you're going to have to do it that way if you want to get the results, and Australia did that. Japan, I mean, they lost away to Australia. I think Moriyasu didn't prepare the team well. They didn't look motivated. When they played against Indonesia at home, they wanted to make a statement and a message against an Indonesian side, but, I mean, 6-0. I mean, when Japan want to play Fuji Bowl, you cannot stop them. It's so difficult with the runs in behind, the play of Kubo to everybody. It's just such a wonderful sight to see. I'll talk about Japan in a moment. Saudi Arabia, Hervé Renard. I'm worried. I'm very worried that they're going to miss this World Cup. One thing I have to say is that Salim Al-Dosari can never take a penalty again in his life. He has missed 3 penalties in this round, people. 3! And nobody thought to themselves, hey, Salim, don't take the penalties anymore. Oh, no, I'm going to take them. The third time's the charm. Hey, third time's not the charm here. Move out of the way. Salim Al-Dosari, if they get a penalty in the fourth round, Saudi Arabia, he should not be anywhere near it. It was so... I mean, the guy consistently misses the penalties. And Saudi Arabia, they did well away against Bahrain in the first half. Second half, I mean, Bahrain were a little bit more competitive. At home against Australia, I mean, Australia at times were carving them up. And I'm really worried what to see with Saudi Arabia in this fourth round, because I don't know what to expect. Either it's going to have to be a Hervé Renard masterclass, or this team and this national team, if they don't qualify for this World Cup, it is a disaster. With the expanded spots that the AFC got, if Saudi Arabia don't qualify, massive, massive disaster class by them. China is disappointing they went out in this round because the home support they get, that atmosphere they had against Bahrain, I mean, every single home game, China have the support. And they got the fire kits as well. And Wang Yudong, I mean, this guy, 18 years old, and he is already the best player for China. It's not even a debate, people. He brings so much directness to this team. Somebody who can dribble. Somebody who can create their own opportunity. Wang Yudong, 18 years old, he's going to play in Europe soon. Hands down. I don't know where. Maybe it could be like a Belgian league, Eredivisie. I think this kid, he looks really promising. He's had a very good season apparently in China, so... he's got a bright future. The goal for China is at the next Asian Cup, score a goal. Maybe Wang Yudong will do that with just sheer individual brilliance. It's been a somewhat entertaining and disappointing window at the same time for China. Like, you're going away to Indonesia. You don't really create opportunities. Defensively, they looked pretty solid in most games in this round, except for Japan games. So that's why their minus 13 goal difference is like that, because they got destroyed away against Japan. But China... I never expected them to qualify from this round, even going to the fourth round. So 9 points, pretty decent. Indonesia are an interesting team because they can beat the Bahrain. They can beat the China. I think they could beat like a Kuwait. They could beat an Oman. They could beat a North Korea. They could beat a Kyrgyzstan. But if they want to take that next step, my God, you have to be better defensively. Some of the goals they conceded against Japan. Now, granted, there's two starting right wing backs. They both went down injured during the game. That can hamper tactically and the mindset of the players. Once they went down, the Titanic happened for Indonesia. They completely capitulated. Patrick Kluivert, if you want to play defensive football, you got to have a game plan going forward. They created nothing in 90 minutes. I feel bad for the Indonesians that had to travel to Japan and paid money for the flights and saw that. Disappointing. So I don't know what to expect from Indonesia. I think they have now gotten to this stage of, okay, we can beat these certain teams at home especially, but can we take that next step in beating a Qatar? Can they beat a Saudi Arabia on neutral ground? Can they beat an Iraq? That's going to be the next test for this Indonesian team. Remember, people, they started all the way in the first round. So for them to even make it to the fourth round, yes, you can talk about all the players they've recruited, but still, it's an incredible achievement, in my opinion. And Bahrain, I have nothing to say. They got that lucky victory against Australia, and since then, lost. I think the last 4 games, they scored a grand total of 0 goals. So when we talk about the 6 teams that qualified to the World Cup from the AFC region, Japan qualified again, South Korea again, Iran again, Australia 6 times in a row for Australia. What an achievement for the Socceroos. And we get 2 new debutants with Jordan and Uzbekistan. I'm going to be honest here. Japan are the only team I have any confidence in doing something at the World Cup. South Korea have the potential. They got to show it more. They got to now have that consistent play in their style of play. If they can do that, then South Korea can get out of the group. Iran, they've never gotten out of the group in their history. They have a very good attack. The defense needs fixing. If they can fix the defense, if they can get a decent group, maybe Iran can get out of the group. Australia, again, you can never disrespect the Socceroos. When you think they're garbage, then they perform well. Maybe sometimes when there's expectation, they don't really perform. So the Socceroos I feel like it's going to be a completely sort of new 11 when we get to that World Cup. We could see some new players integrated into the team. Obviously, some of the players that were injured over this window, like the Irvines, the Suitors, they could be integrated back into the squad. So I think Popovich, he's just got to experiment with some youngsters, maybe some more A-League players, because I think that's the way for the Socceroos if they want to do anything at the next World Cup. Remember, they made it to the round of 16 last time around and almost knocked out Argentina, the eventual World Cup champions. For the two debutants, I kind of talked about that in their own separate videos. I think Jordan are going to find it very difficult. They have a good style of play, but better midfield play. Because in international football, you need a good controller in the midfield. I think Jordan are really lacking that. They can be electrifying going forward, but I feel like the midfield is going to cost them at that World Cup. And Uzbekistan are, for me, the biggest wild card. Defensively, they're a solid team. If they can get some more goal scorers from Shmurodov to obviously Faisal Live and these sort of players, they can be a dangerous side. But it's always up with these debutants. It's like, does the big occasion get to them? So for right now, I think Japan and I'm going to go with South Korea are the two teams that can progress out of the group stage at the World Cup. Then we have the final round, people. The fourth round of AFC World Cup qualifiers, even though we still got a fifth round. But here, we're going to find out which two teams will directly qualify to the World Cup. I'm going to do a quick power ranking. Sixth is Oman. I just don't have any faith that they can go up against the other teams in this group. I mean, it would be a sensational result if they somehow qualified. I just don't see it at the moment. Fifth, I'm going to have Indonesia. I think they are progressing well, but Patrick Kluivert's tactics, I think they're going to cost them big time. I really think so. They got the quality players, but he's such a naive manager defensively. Yes, you can set up in a low block, but you need to have some defensive organization. Indonesia have to be better defensively. Romney, I mean, the guy will have to turn into Pele if they want to qualify to the World Cup. Fourth in the power rankings, I'm going to have Qatar. I just don't have any faith in that defense. It's going to have to be Akram Afif basically dragging them to the World Cup like he's Simon Bolivar out there. That's the only way I can see Qatar qualifying to the World Cup, because defensively, if they go up against Iraq, I mean, Ayman Hussein is going to eat. Even if Qatar go up against Indonesia, Romney will have a field day against them. So Qatar fourth in my power rankings. I'm going to have Saudi Arabia third because they're just too inconsistent. They don't have any goal scorers. Hervé Renard's tactics, could they work in this final round? Maybe, but I just don't have any faith right now in Saudi Arabia. Two, I'm going to have Iraq because Graham Arnold is new to the job. Graham Arnold, I think, has a lot of pressure under him to perform with this team to get them to the World Cup. That's why they sacked Jesus Casas. You don't just hire Graham Arnold, who has the experience in these knockout rounds, in the playoffs, to not qualify to the World Cup. Graham Arnold is under pressure, but I think Iraq can use the momentum of beating Jordan. They got a solid team. Let's see what sort of friendlies they can organize in the September window. I think that's going to be key to how Graham Arnold wants to play in this fourth round. I'm going to have Iraq second. And yes, number one right now for me is UAE. I think Kosman got the team playing well against Uzbekistan. UAE have a lot of difference makers in their team, and that's going to be key. It's only 2 games, people. You can have a good defensive organization, but where's that moment of brilliance going to come? I think UAE have a couple players that can do that. It's funny that I have the two teams, top 2 in my power rankings. So if you ask me who am I thinking going to qualify from this fourth round, I think it's UAE and Iraq. That's my power rankings. The most fire group would be Qatar, Iraq, and Indonesia. Wow, that group would be sensational. I mean, I would love to see also Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Indonesia, even though we've already seen the matchup between Saudi Arabia and Indonesia. So, wow, it's going to be sensational. The draw, I think, is July 17th. So we're going to have to wait for that. You'll see my reaction here on the channel. But there we have it, people. The third round of AFC World Cup qualifiers is done. There is the review for the final 2 match days. There's the preview for the fourth round. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And thank you all for your kind support with all of the AFC videos here on the channel. We're obviously going to have a lot more during the summer, heading into the October window when the fourth round does begin. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Hit the like button on this video, and remember to follow me on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, join the Discord, all those links, description down below. But have a beautiful day. Stay safe in this crazy world. Till next time, adios.